So we're going to continue on with our second strap as an option for the bag, and this one is going to be using the beautiful Rainberry connectors. So I'm going to need the connectors, obviously. Take the backs off of them, the backing piece, and put the screws someplace very safe. Okay? You're going to need some double-sided tape. I have 1/2 inch and some 1/2 inch Cordura to strengthen our strap. Pasta roller or whatever you have to help smooth out the strap, and some clips. I like using the bigger clips, as you probably know, so they leave less indentations on the strap when they're held together. So here's my new little pouch that you will be seeing someday soon. Isn't it pretty? Okay, so first thing I have done in advance is I have sewn a 1/4 inch seam of these two pieces right sides together, and I have drawn a line down the center of both pieces like so. Line. Simple. Now, on this seam right here, you can either finger press it, or you might want to put some double-sided tape. I'm going to try some double-sided tape to keep that nice and flat. So, got some nice 1/8 inch double-sided tape. I get this from Bags by Cat, which is fireweed stitches. Someday I'll figure that out, won't I, Kathy? All right, so we're just going to take a little piece and put it down on the seam of each side, like so. Put it on this side. Like so. Press it in place. I'm just going to give it a finger press. And then we'll take off the covering and give it a nice press, like so. And do it for this side as well. Got that. And so, simple. It just looks nice. It'll fold over nicer when we get to the next stage. Pull that out. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some double-sided tape. And we're going to put it on the center line, but only on the longer piece. So we're going to start right here at the seam and go straight down the center. Put your tape all the way down, and you're going to stop about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, say 1/2 inch away. Okay, like so. Give it a nice press, and we're going to remove the tape, the covering. I always call it that. Why do I do that? Remove that, and now we're going to use our double-sided tape. Let me get this closer to you to see. And we're going to put the Cordura on top of that tape, all the way down the center. Make sure you don't stretch it. Okay. Again, this is on the long piece of the vinyl of the two that we cut. Okay. And we're going to trim the Cordura like so. Okay, so now we're going to take our double-sided tape and we're going to place it all the way 1/2 inch from this end to the other end of where the Cordura was, okay? So this here. I will start on this end. And you can do it in pieces if you don't have to do the whole one big piece if you don't want to. You can always tear it off too. You want to work in sections. Okay? So right down the center, on top of the seam, on top of the Cordura, going all the way to that same 1/2 inch stopping point as before. So, and you can smooth it out with your fingers. You can use your pasta roller, brayer, all different types of names for the same tool. Okay, so now we're going to take off the tape. I'm just going to take off a little chunk of it right there. I'm going to start in the middle, and we're going to fold up to, right up to, but not to the line, just like we have done before. Okay, so just going to, not eyeball it, but just use the line as your guide and fold. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way for this side and for this side. Flip it over, come back here, and do this side, making sure you're matching up the seams, like so. And when you're all done, we're going to have a 3/4 inch strap. Okay, now I'm not going to make you watch me tape all of this because I know you have more important things to do. So I'm going to do all the taping, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you what the next step is. Okay, so catch up with me in a second. Bye. So we have our strap all put together. I think I told you last time to leave a 1/16 inch gap. That actually would be incorrect unless you did it consistently, because we actually are not folding this again. So sorry about that. But the key is to make sure your strap is 3/4 inch thick all the way around. So ours looks good. We're going to give it a rolly press. So we have intentionally left the two ends here with no glue, and because we're going to join those after we attach our hardware. So put your strap in front of you, take your hardware that you have, and you want to use a D-ring and have the hardware, in this case, facing up, pretty side up. We're going to slip it on. Make sure you do it correctly. Let's see, pretty side up. Okay, so we're going to slip it on and pull it down. It's a little unwieldy sometimes. Okay, so just kind of slip it on. Make sure that when you fold it, that the hardware is facing pretty side up. Okay, now you're going to take the other hardware and you're going to put it so that these two pieces are basically touching each other or matching each other, so wrong sides together. So if you have that in mind, take your hardware and slip this on. Verify that we did it correctly. Looks correct. Okay. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take these two pieces, make sure the strap is not twisted. By the way, it gets pretty noisy for a while now with all this hardware clanking around, but we'll muddle through. Okay, so make sure your strap is not twisted, and you're going to simply put these two pieces here, right sides together, open it up as much as you need to, and clip it in place, and then you're going to sew that at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Put the DST like we did before, and that will complete the circle of the strap for now. So I'm going to sew that. I'm not going to bore you with that. So go ahead and sew it yourself. Come back here, and then we will complete the strap as far as this part, and then we will attach it to the bag. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so here's our strap. I've sewn the other seam, right sides together, put some DST, and then close it up a little bit more so that it matches the other side. Now this part is pretty important. You want to make sure that you have a seam that's about, oh, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, extending, visible to you, and your hardware should be wrong side up. And then you want to come over to this side. It needs to be also about 3/4 inch, and your hardware facing wrong side up. Okay? I hope I didn't, but I may have told you to put the hardware in on the wrong direction last time. Before you sew, especially before this point, make sure it's correct and looking like this. If not, it's a simple unpicking one little stitch there and taking the hardware out. Okay, so now you have the option of, we're going to put these two pieces together. You can use double-sided tape if you want, or we can use clips, or we can do both. I think today I'm going to use some double-sided tape and clips. So I'm just going to trim a couple of little threads here. We don't want those hanging out of our strap, our handle. So, okay. And I'm just going to put some 1/2 inch double-sided tape. Once I have confirmed that I have this even the way I want it, I'll put it down the bottom. Now you might want to use a little bit thinner than what I'm using if your machine has any difficulty sewing through double-sided tape. But you don't want it peeking out the edge for sure. My machines do not have any trouble with that, so I'm committing. Now there's more stick here. Okay? Kitty, want this there. Sticking to everything. And trim it off right here. Like so. Okay. And now we're just going to peel it off. It's probably going to be a fun time here. Make sure you have these perfectly extended, your hardware like before. Yeah, sticky to it. Okay, and we're just going to stick it together. Okay, this side back to being even. Stick it together, and then hopefully you're winning. Like so. Okay, so make sure it's all positioned nicely before you commit to giving it a roller press, like so. And then once we press it all in place, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to take our leather marking pen, and with a ruler, just going to mark about a 1/2 inch from here to there. And that will simply give you a line to sew on so that you don't have them be crooked by any possible jam. So just take your marking pen and mark it, I'm going to say a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay? So after this, we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around, using the guide here as your guide for the stitching on here. We're going to add a couple of rivets, or at least one, and our strap will be done. Again, I'm not going to make you watch me sew 2 long lines. You know how to do that from previous videos. So go ahead and get your handle, your strap ready, and then we will attach it to our bag. So look at us go. We're almost done. Yay! Alright, so I have added a couple of rivets on either side of my strap. And you know, I think they're decorative, but they also can help just a little bit more with any you know, extra tension that you might have from the strap. But most of the weight is going to be borne by these connectors here. So you're going to need, make sure your strap is perfect one last time. Turn it over, make sure that these, your right side of your rivets here, the right side of the hardware is here, and the same for this set. So you have a nice set of inward facing connectors. Okay, you're going to need your, you're going to need your little screws, the backing to the hardware, fray check if you'd like for the inside of the bag, little toothpick, resting mat, some glue, your leather marking pen, and your wheelie punchy hole. So what we're going to do first is we're going to mark the holes on the bag. Now you can do that a couple of different ways, but an easy way is to, here's our bag. We're just going to open up the zipper all the way. Here it is, open. We're going to take one of our connectors and we're going to center it on the bag with the lip right over the edge of it, and just going to give it a good press with your fingers. Okay, that is going to put the 3 holes that you need to punch on the bag. So now you can go ahead and mark them a little bit more clearly with the leather marking pen. And if they go away by chance, you have marked the one, you can take your backing plate and put it right on top of that one that you just made and line it up with that. And then go ahead and mark the other 2 like so. Okay? Now you want to make sure that it is perfect. So take the time, go ahead and mark both sides of your bag with the placement holes. You're going to use your hole punch and punch the holes. If you want, you can put some fray check on the fabric side, and then we will proceed to install the hardware. So I'm going to go ahead and get all my placement markings made, my holes punched, and I will be back in a moment to put the hardware on with you. So see you in a second. I have got the first side on. It's kind of, it's not fully screwed in because I like to get the screws put in first, and then I'll take one at a time out, add the glue, and then put them in more permanently and all the way to the end. Now, I'm not going to kid you. This took me about 15 minutes. Maybe it's me, I'm not sure. But it takes time. You have to line these things up. You have to just persevere. So, but it's worth it. It's a beautiful hardware. Here's a little tip for you. When you punch your holes using the wheelie punch, put a piece of vinyl behind it so that when you punch through, you're actually punching a hole through the fabric as well as the vinyl too. Otherwise, sometimes you get a dud on the inside. So put this behind, and then when you punch through, you'll get a much cleaner punch. Okay, so I am going to add some glue to these little screws here. Let them dry. I will do the other side, and make sure when you do the other side that your strap is not twisted, because that's no fun to undo. Still possible to undo, but just not any fun. All right, so I'm going to continue. When I come back, our bag will be, for the most part, done. Just a few finishing touches. So pretty exciting days, huh? Thanks so much. See you in a second. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back. We have finished our beautiful Paulette handbag. I still just love those pleats. It's such a nice design feature. I have went ahead and I made a tassel. You gotta have a tassel. I used the same fabric as my lining. Thought I'd kind of give it a little bit more oomph if I used this on the outside instead of the charcoal brown on the outside. So that's always fun. Again, so this is on my Cricut Maker. I have a tutorial on how to do that on YouTube. And I like to add my little signature rose charm right there as well, if you can see that. So, a little recap then. We learned how to put piping in. Everyone's a piping wizard now. Piping is fun. We learned how to do 2 different straps. We have the pretty straps with the Bringberry hardware. Turned out great. And then we have the alternate strap with the two-tone. You can use this on any bag, so that's also a nice option. This one's a little bit longer probably than I would want for this bag, so I ended up, if I was going to use it, just fold it in about probably 2 inches or lop some off, but to each their own. So I think that concludes our tutorial. I will start another one probably in the next couple of weeks using our Cricut Maker. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial series, and I'm looking forward to seeing your Paulettes posted in the group. So thanks for sticking with me and sewing with me, and I will see you all soon.